Welcome everyone, this is On Just Restart. I am joined by Brandon from WhataboutNintendo, and this time we're talking about when we could sort of see the next Breath of the Wild 2 trailer, but rather not when we could see it, but what we will see when we see it. What will that entail? Will we get a title? Will we get a release date? Will we get gameplay? Will we get story? That's what we're focusing on today. So, Brandon, depending on when we get this trailer, what do you think we'll see? Let's just assume we get a trailer at the Game Awards. We may not, we may have to wait a couple more months, but if we do get at the Game Awards, what do you think we could see?
Yes, I think it definitely changes depending on if we get it at the Game Awards or if we get it later, or both. Obviously, that makes a big difference. If we get it at the Game Awards, what I'm expecting is something a little light. Obviously, at the Game Awards, you don't have a lot of time. You're not going to blow out everything. And, at the Game Awards, that's going to be at least probably from what, depending on what your thinking is, at least several months until the game releases, up to, almost a year? So they're not going to obviously want to show too much. They're going to want to have a little bit of something, a little bit of a tease. So I'm expecting something like 30 seconds-ish. That's kind of my personal thinking, because I don't think they want to show too much, as I said. So I think they'll show things that are subtle, but you're going to really be able to look into it. You're going to be able to do those deep dives and find hidden secrets. But the trailer itself is going to be more subtle. It's going to be overshots, just general, showing you things without explaining them, which I think are some of the best trailers, to be honest, because that's when you can really go in with those theories and try to find all the little things that's new. But I think it'll be one of those shorter trailers with a release date, just kind of showing the world, but not really anything explicit.
So I did a little bit of research before we decided to do this discussion, right? I didn't tell you. Now you're finding out now. But basically, I went ahead and looked at the different Breath of the Wild trailers we got and the different Super Mario Odyssey trailers we got, and I noticed something interesting about them. Okay, so for Breath of the Wild, we had several teaser little snippets and trailers for like a year and a half to 2 years before they were ready to sort of blow out the game. And then for Mario Odyssey, there was one teaser when they did the Nintendo Switch sort of reveal, right? That first look. So the point I'm trying to make here is that there is basically two different trailers that were kind of major for both games. For Breath of the Wild, the title reveal trailer, the trailer after the small little teasers leading up to that, this trailer at E3 2016, we got the actual title reveal. And it was kind of like what you were saying, how they didn't explain what was happening, but they showed us a whole bunch of different snippets of different gameplay mechanics and parts of the world. And we got a good idea of how the game would play. And then at the Switch presentation in January 2017, that's when we got not just the title reveal was E3, but the release date was that presentation, and it came out 2 months later. For Mario Odyssey, right, we got the little teasers leading up during the first look presentation, but the actual first major trailer for Mario Odyssey was that Switch presentation January 2017. That's when they did the title drop. And then at E3 2017, they gave us the actual trailer that told us more about the mechanics of the game, and they gave us the actual release date. So to sort of be more specific with what I'm trying to say, there were two different trailers. The first trailers for both major games gave us the titles, and then those secondary trailers that expanded more upon the gameplay and concepts gave us the release date. And these trailers aren't just teasers, but full-blown trailers. I would qualify the sequel Breath of the Wild 2 trailer as kind of more like a teaser. And I guess the next trailer we get for Breath of the Wild 2 would be probably like that first significant trailer that gives us actual glimpses of gameplay, some overview of the actual gameplay world, perhaps a few story snippets. But the big thing I'm looking for is the actual title reveal, similar to how they did it with Mario Odyssey with that first significant trailer, as well as Breath of the Wild.
Okay. Personally, in my opinion, I don't think they'll show the title. Earliest I think they would show it would be in a direct, because I think when you see the new Zelda title, they want to explain typically what that title means, which is what they did at E3 with Zelda, because they blew out everything. They explained everything about the title, and they explained how the title references mechanics and things like that. That's what they like to do with Zelda games. You don't really tease it and then show the name as much. I feel like they want to explain that name, and they don't have much time to do that during the Game Awards. So that's kind of why I don't think that they would do that.
I think that makes sense because while I think it makes sense that when we do finally get that significant trailer that gives us an understanding of the gameplay and the story, we will get that title reveal. But it kind of goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning. When do we actually get this trailer? Because if it does happen in the Game Awards, to your point, they don't have as much time. It has to be quicker. So perhaps you're right, and we don't get a title reveal at the Game Awards if they do decide to show Breath of the Wild 2 off then. But if they do wait a little bit longer, say for a January Nintendo Direct, or perhaps a Zelda 35th anniversary event in February, that's when for sure we get a title, I think. I think that's the latest we get a title for Breath of the Wild 2.
I agree.
Yeah.
Typically, I would actually argue that they might wait till E3, but in this case, we don't even know if E3 2021 is going to be a thing. I feel like it makes more sense for them to show it off close to the anniversary for Zelda, as opposed to waiting for an E3 that may or may not happen. I feel like if E3 does happen, even if it is actually going to be a thing, it might be confirmed so late that companies don't really have a lot to plan, so they don't actually utilize E3 as big, even if it is a thing. So yeah, I kind of agree. Typically, I would say maybe they would wait till E3, like they did for Breath of the Wild, but in this situation, I think a Direct is more likely, especially with the big anniversary.
Yeah, exactly. With the Zelda's 35th anniversary this February, I think it makes more sense to talk about the big Zelda plans sooner. And even if there is an E3 this year, and I'm sure Nintendo's going to talk about something around that time, hopefully, there's a whole bunch of other things they can talk about. They could perhaps give us a Metroid Prime 4 teaser. They could perhaps talk about Mario Odyssey 2. They could perhaps talk about whatever the Mario Kart ARMS team has been working on, or perhaps another game that Retro Studios has been working on, or perhaps...
Or Monolith Soft.
Or exactly, Monolith Soft. You took the words right out of my mouth. There's a whole bunch of different options in terms of really exciting potential new games that Nintendo has in the works that they could focus on later. So they don't have to save Zelda for like that E3 presentation or Direct to get us excited.
You could definitely tell in 2016, Breath of the Wild was all they had.
Yeah, and I think that's also why we got a lot of teasers for Breath of the Wild during the Wii U era. Because that was really all Nintendo had to show off that was exciting for Wii U fans. Right now, for the Switch era, we've only gotten one teaser for the Breath of the Wild 2 sequel trailer because there's other things to worry about. There's other things to play and be excited about. So they don't need to use that to keep us excited and interested in Nintendo. There's other things to worry about. But anyway, just kind of going back to what we could see for the trailer. If we get the Game Awards, I agree with you. It'll be a little bit shorter. I don't think it's going to be 30 seconds. I think it'll probably be closer to be maybe like 60, 90, maybe 2 minutes, but definitely not like a 3.5, 4 minute trailer. I definitely agree with you. It's got to be shorter. Now, I'll say this. At the Game Awards, while they may not do a title drop, because to your point, they may want to describe more about the game so the title makes sense, they still could do a release date. And while I did note that Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild had second trailers that had those release dates shown off, so it was a little bit later, I don't think they'll give us like a specific release date like with those secondary trailers. I think it would just be kind of like a year confirmation. They would confirm 2021. So maybe we get like a 60-second trailer that might qualify as kind of like a teaser. Like we get some gameplay glimpses, perhaps some subtle story teasers as well, like a combination of that within 60 seconds to 90 seconds. But at the end, they just say 2021. That's what I'm sort of expecting if it's shown off at the Game Awards.
Yeah, that falls in line. I mean, it's a little bit longer, I think, than my expectations. Maybe a little bit on the short side, but I think it's pretty similar overall.
Yeah. And if we have to wait a little bit longer, say we have to wait for a January, February Nintendo Direct, at that point, what I'm expecting for the trailers to be basically like what the E3 2016 Breath of the Wild trailer was. We see like 3 minutes of gameplay and story cutscenes, and it confirms the actual title of the game at the end of that trailer.
Yeah, I agree. I think it would be about 3 minutes, and we would see the title and some sort of reason why. Especially since I think the title might be a little bit less ambiguous, I guess, or general than in Breath of the Wild. That's not really a specific mechanic. This one might be a little bit more closely related, like some of the other Zelda games, where it's much more specific. So, I mean, if it is that case, then I think they'll want to show off what that specific thing is, because I don't think
it would be interesting if the trailer has like a subtitle that's like, not the trailer, but the game itself has a subtitle related to like maybe like the Zonai, for example, because that is like greatly theorized with what's going on in the sequel trailer.
A lot of Zonai references in that teaser trailer.
Yeah, so maybe something like that, perhaps. But I think it'll be kind of like a mix of the gameplay and story. Like the
Right.
title probably have something to do with both somehow.
Definitely.
But just kind of like looking at the initial Breath of the Wild trailer, just kind of seeing what they did with that. What I'm sort of expecting is that they're definitely going to hold some things back. Like they're not going to show us all the cool mechanics. There'll be
Oh,
some
for
surprises saved for later on in the year, or for 2021. I mean, not this year because we're at the end. But maybe we see what's going on with the hand mechanics. Whatever that glowy hand thing does, I think they'll show us some glimpse of gameplay towards that. Similar to how they showed off the runes in the first like significant Breath of the Wild trailer. I think this hand mechanic will be sort of a replacement for that, and we'll see some glimpses of that gameplay in this trailer.
I completely agree. I also think they may show certain hints at other gameplay elements, like maybe if dungeons are back, like proper dungeons.
You literally stole my like
probably show that.
Yeah, I have like a page of like bullet points to sort of address, and that was
Nice.
literally the next bullet point.
I
Yeah.
have my brain, my powerful mind.
Yeah, definitely agree with you. Dungeons, I think, are really important. That's something that I think Nintendo and the Zelda team are going to want to sort of convey to fans. That dungeons, classical style dungeons, will be returning. So I think there's going to be some gameplay snippets that will show dungeons. And even if it's not a gameplay snippet, something that will be like, yep, that's a dungeon. They're going to do something in the next trailer that I think will speak to that.
For sure. I also think they'll hint at, because a lot of people aren't sure if Ganondorf is going to be, stay as the zombie or kind of heal up over time back to his original form. We see that shadow being cast on the wall.
Yeah.
In the trailer.
I think that does hint that he'll return to a form similar to that.
Right.
That's what I think.
I think they'll show a hint of him doing that in this trailer at the very end. It won't be like explicit, but it will be like you'll kind of see Ganondorf and he'll be like sort of obviously recovering in some way, like at the castle, kind of like growing in strength a little bit. Just some like teaser, I'm not exactly sure how, but some way to communicate that he is in fact actually getting stronger.
So
he is recovering.
I think this kind of potentially ties into my next sort of like thought here. Basically, I think if there is going to be some sort of significant relation to Age of Calamity and Breath of the Wild, they may show off a hint of that in the trailer. So one idea that came to mind recently that I didn't even talk about during the podcast or any theory videos is that there is I don't want to spoil anything from Age of Calamity, but to put it simply, there is some soul draining that takes place. Perhaps in Breath of the Wild 2, the way Ganondorf sort of restores himself is by stealing souls. Because actually, this is not a spoiler, in the sequel trailer, there's like that weird music that if you reverse, it has like a hidden message. It's something along the lines of like, help us, save us. It's like implying that there's trapped souls. So perhaps Ganondorf has sort of stolen souls, or perhaps the spirits of the Zonai over time, and maybe he will steal more souls to sort of regain his power. That's like one possibility. Yeah. And even if it's not specifically that, the point is that I think this trailer could potentially sort of show us how Age of Calamity may sort of be related to Breath of the Wild 2.
I mean, it makes sense. Age of Calamity is on everyone's minds. It will still be, even if it's not the Game Awards, even if it's like January or February, if we see it then, I still think Age of Calamity will be on people's minds.
Yeah.
And so it makes sense in the very first trailer after Age of Calamity is when you would talk about the connections. Because if you talked about it later, that would just be strange.
And the other interesting thing is that there is a decent chance that there could be a DLC announcement for Age of Calamity. So let's say at the Game Awards they announced DLC for Age of Calamity, and then they have this little teaser for Breath of the Wild 2. That would be a great way to sort of pair them up together if they decide to do something along those lines.
Yeah, that would work great. Which is also kind of why I'm thinking it might be a little bit on the shorter side, because I am kind of thinking that might happen. And if it does, I think the trailer will be a little bit shorter. If it's just a standalone trailer by itself, no Age of Calamity DLC, maybe it'll be a longer trailer. But if they pair them both, I think they'll want that one announcement to be on the, not too long. So they would have the Breath of the Wild 2 tease probably be a little bit shorter.
Yeah. I think one more thing I want to bring up before we bring things to a close here is that they may not show it off at the Game Awards. We may have to wait a little bit longer. At the same time, right, it's also possible that what we get at the Game Awards is, like what you said, it's short. It's only like 30 seconds, 60 seconds. There wouldn't be that much shown there. Perhaps it's just story stuff, perhaps it's just gameplay stuff, or just a little bit of both. There's gonna be a follow-up trailer, is my point. Like, whatever they show off at the Game Awards, they still need to talk more about this game later in a direct or a Zelda 35th anniversary celebration event, something like that is gonna happen either January, February, I bet. So either way, regardless if we get Breath of the Wild 2 shown off during the Game Awards, they're gonna talk about this game again really soon.
Yeah, I agree. They would want to show it off again because, as I said, I don't think the Game Awards will show a lot. I think it will be just more subtle things.
Yeah, subtle things. So hopefully it happens then, but if you're watching this afterwards and it doesn't, well, yeah, that's why you gotta take things with a grain of salt, but it still could be coming a month or two down the road in a January, February Nintendo Direct.
Yeah, definitely possible.
You got any final thoughts, Brandon?
My final thoughts are, whatever they show, whenever they show it, I'm gonna be so excited, and there's no way I'm not gonna be going through every single frame of whatever they show. So bring it on, Nintendo. Give us the goods.
Yeah, this is easily my most anticipated game of 2021. Even if it's not confirmed for 2021, I am very excited about it, so hopefully we get news on this game really soon. But anyways, everyone, this is On Just Restart. That's Brandon from What About Nintendo. His channel will be linked in the description below. If you guys have any thoughts, let us know in the comments, and we'll see you all really soon. Take care. Bye.
See you guys.